Nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, hallelujah.
So ladies, breathe easily, because when you stand before the Lord in the judgment, he's not going to judge you on being the head of your household. He's going to judge you on how you submitted to your husband. And that is such a weight that we need to release ourselves of so that we can enjoy our lives, all right? So because we are precious women and we are considered the weaker vessel, the man is to honor us and cherish us. Act like it. Make him honor you, because you are the weaker vessel. Weaker vessel not meaning a doormat. The weaker vessel not meaning you don't have a point of view. That's not what that means. A weaker vessel meaning you're so precious that God has cherished you and put you up almost on a pedestal. Don't get me wrong now. I don't mean a pedestal where you're going to be worshipped, but because you're so delicate, and it's possible that the vase, if I could use that as a reference, is so pristine and so delicate that if it gets knocked over and falls on the ground, it can break. And because we can break, because we are fragile, gentle women, we are on a pedestal, and our husband will honor us and love us as we are. So Christian women who will submit to their husbands, if you will submit to your husband, if the man loves you as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. A godly woman will submit to the husband who loves her in a way as to give himself up for her. Okay? So I'm not saying that this is what your husband he feels that way, or if he doesn't feel that way, that's irrelevant, because the Bible tells us in Ephesians 5:25, this is a commandment of the Lord. And this is not a suggestion, as I said before, and it's not a recommendation. It is a command. It says, husbands, love your wives in Ephesians, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So if that is your husband's responsibility and he's loving you, then you just need to sit back and relax and take your hands off and stop trying to lead and stop trying to be the head, because that is not your position. All right? So the Bible continues to tell me in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, he says to the man, this is what he says to the husband, he wants you to dwell, to live with your wife according to the knowledge, which means the facts of God's word, understanding that she is a weaker vessel, honoring her as a fellow heir, which means joined together by the grace of God, so that your prayers be not hindered. So husbands, if you don't want your prayers hindered, love your wife. Ladies, if you want God to continue to use you, obey and be obedient to your husband. And as I said, weaker vessel does not mean that you are going to be placed on a pedestal. It means that you're precious, that you're delicate, that you're valuable, that you're to be precious. This doesn't mean anything less than a man. We are co-equals with Christ, joint heirs with him. So submission is not, here's what submission is not. It's not putting the will of the husband before the Father, before Jesus Christ. Submission does not mean that you do not influence or have any influence over your husband. Submission does not mean living or acting in fear. So ladies, let me encourage you. You are your husband's helpmeet, and even as a weaker vessel, you're suitable, made just for him, fitted, put together just for him. You are his perfect fit, his perfect size. You are tailor-made just for him. God knew your husband would need you. God knew your husband would need help. Adam needed help, and so God created the woman. So ladies, you are his helpmeet. To do what? To meet him where he falls short. To do what? To meet him when he needs encouragement. You should be his biggest cheerleader. Every time my husband finishes preaching, I encourage him. I tell him he was great, that was a good job. You encourage him. You don't want other ladies encouraging your husband. Yeah, it's fine, but you better be the first one to encourage your husband. As a helpmeet, you will meet him when he's too tired to pray. He's too tired to pray, you need to pray. You will meet him when he just needs somebody to talk to, a listening ear. You will meet him when life knocks him down with some bruises. You will meet him when he feels alone in ministry or at work. You will meet him when he's soaring on cloud 9. You will meet him at the dinner table, or if he needs his back rubbed or his back scratched or his feet massaged. Get down on the floor and massage his feet and wash his feet. Meet him as his favorite cheerleader, as I said before, and put on your best cheerleading outfit as you submit to your husband. So meet him emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, and romantically. You are not a doormat, but the door is wide open for you to understand and respect and give compassion as well. So in conclusion, the Bible teaches us that we should do the following. Number 1, we should submit to one another out of the reverence of Christ. We should esteem others better than ourselves. We should obey those who have authority over us. We would submit ourselves under God's authority and his law. Submission doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything that your husband says. It's how you agree to disagree. God should always be the focal point as we submit to him. We submit to him the disagreements, we submit to him our challenges, and then it can become amicable. Submission does not mean leaving your brain at the altar. When you got married, you did not leave your brain at the altar. Your brain is with you right now. It's still with you. So your mind still functions even after salvation. You're not a robot. You're a functioning human being, subject to the will of God through the choices and the decisions that you make. So remember, God will resist all who refuse to submit and humble themselves, but he will give grace to the humble and to humble people who are submitting themselves to God and to others. So wives, W-I-V-E-S, wives, influential, W-I-V-E-S, influential in virtuously submitting, W-I-V-E-S. So what I want you to do is to encourage somebody to submit. Encourage a younger wife to submit. Let her know that in submitting there's power. In submitting there is grace. In submitting there is righteousness. It's all good. Submit and watch God turn your life around and give you a good, enjoyable marriage.